showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
All right. Okay, man. The first show of 2022. We are here, folks. We are here, man. What a lovely first couple of days of 2022. Man, I'm looking forward to everything that's going to happen in the next 12 months. It's a new road. It's a new horizon that we're looking down towards. And which direction are we going to go in? And that's what I love about New Year's, man. You kind of reset and get your mind straight, and everything that happened in 2021, reviewing that, all the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then you're looking forward to 2022, the new year, to see how you kind of recalibrate, checking some things out, what you're going to do differently. Whatever you didn't do in 2021, you're going to do in the new year. And that's what I like about 2022 coming into the new year, because there's so many other things that you could do differently, move differently, strategize, kind of lay back and look down that road. And like I said, like down that horizon and be like, oh, okay, look, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I didn't do. Okay, this is how I'm going to attack this, all those other things. And whatever that you're continuing from 2021 into 2022 is always good to fine tune and figure out, okay, I did this successfully. This is how I'm going to continue it on and become better. And then, just become better people, man, better entrepreneurs, better founders, better overall. So yeah, man, I'm always excited when it comes to these. A few things I'm excited about. I'm excited about my birthday. I'm excited about the new year, and let's say about the holidays. That's what I'm excited about. It's a time kind of, all that hard work you've been doing, and you take that month off to really kind of decompress and, figure things out and just rest. I know a couple of people that, since I've been off, that continue doing shows, and I'm like, that's all the well and good. That's, you, whatever it is, your prerogative, you want to continue on. But I'm like, you got to give yourself time to break. I mean, you go hard for 12 months, 52 weeks. I mean, at some point, you got to turn off the mic. At some point, there's certain things, if you're running at a good clip and as what people want passive income, I think if we're using the right word, your money is making money for itself. At certain time, you just gotta all right, let me just jump off this captain's chair and, trying to chill out with the fam or chill out with friends, certain things you haven't been able to do in the last 11 months. And I think December, this is my personal feeling. December would be a time just to let go and, try to, relax a bit, even if you want to go hard 120% in the last month, it doesn't make sense anyway, because most of your community, most of society, they're already clicked off. They're switched off already, man. Some people have already started their vacation in the first week of December, but definitely by the second, third week, people checked out. So I personally think, my feeling is, companies should do, just shut down, man. Run on a skeleton crew. All the other jobs, of course, that you can't do it, like MTA, where you kind of have to have these things operating, that, you got to make a difference, but you got to make it sweet for them. If they're planning to provide a service for the public, and we can't be off of it, everybody's going to take the train, if someone's going to take the bus, then you got to me, this is my thought, you got to pay them a little more. You got to give them a little extra. If they're going to work on the holidays where everybody else is off and they're having a good time with their family and friends and all like that, I mean, you got to give something. But definitely if you work for a company that's not running any essential services, I think, people should just be off, man. Paid. people should be off and be able to do what they need in the last, at the very least, the last 2 weeks. Companies should just shut down, because you can't do business anyway. Because even if you go on hard, there are other businesses that there are key people that they went on their own personal vacation, and they're off and doing their thing. So how much can you get done? So that's not my thought. But yeah, man, we're heading into 2022, man. Still dealing with this COVID, still dealing with all this. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward. So yeah, I'm your host, Nova Phoenix, and on GCOM Radio, on iHeartRadio. Sometimes I forget what I'm going to say. Take a couple weeks off and I start forgetting how I'm going to do my thing. Yeah, so I'm back. I got a couple things I want to talk about, man, that's been going on. Of course, in the last couple of weeks of December that, if I don't get to talk about it then, I can talk about it now. But yeah, let's get this show going. As you guys already know, this is a broken down type of the show. There's a whole format that I've been doing in the past, say what, 11, no longer, because I segued onto this mission. I say in the last, if you should go back about 2-3 months, there's a certain format of the show where I definitely had news you need to know and business of the week and all that, and there are drops and everything that I have for the show. But I kind of changed it up. I switched it up and doing a little bit more of a broken down version of it, where I'm just speaking to you guys directly, because I was working on the funding for the Lyfeblood brand, and also working on this event to kind of like take it to the next step as an action to take the brand to the next step. So yeah, so if you ever want to know what the show should, the format, the layout should be, just check back on the show back in August, September, I guess. I think that's when I switched up. But yeah, I'm going to continue with this on until I can figure out what is, making progress and these other areas. Now, as far, and I'll get to that in a minute. I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so the first thing that I want to talk about for the show is, man, death in 2021 is crazy. Betty White passed away. The Golden Girls, everybody knows who Betty White is. She had a long career. I don't know, a lot of people have been talking about, damn, why you swearing Betty White? Look, Betty White, I mean, she reached the age of 99. She was, I think, a few days or 2 weeks away from her 100th birthday, and then life happens, and life definitely happened. But she passed away, and then she gave a lot to the business, to Hollywood, and she seemed like a real sweet, beautiful, open-minded individual. And you got to praise people for living the best life that they can live, and when they do pass, you have to send your condolences and praise and celebration and all those things. The next, Max Julian, he played the pimp in Goldie in the blaxploitation area back in the movies. He played in the movie The Mac. He died in '88. Many people sampled his works, his audio, LL Cool J, Snoop Dogg, everybody. So he passed away. Rest in peace to Max Julian. Also recently, very recently, Sidney Poitier, that beautiful man, he passed away. I believe he was 92. He did tons of work. You can research the brother, and I'm celebrating his life and also Betty White, or anyone that reaches into their 90s, man, because that's a long life to live, professionally, personally. I mean, there's so much knowledge and experience that you've had over the decades. And when you get to that point and you pass away and you die in your 90s, that's a celebration. I think mourning is really when there is an untimely death, and you're young, you're in your 60s or 50s or 40s or even your 20s. That's when it's sad when someone passes away so early, because there's so much life that we can experience, and when someone's life's cut so short, that's where the sadness takes over, and people are in mourning. But when you're in your 90s, nah, man, when you're in your 90s and I pass away, I want people to dance. I want people to celebrate. I want people to go through all the good times and the bad times too, and say, hey man, you lived a long life and this is what you did. Yo, you got to clap it up for that individual, Sidney Poitier, to Betty White, everybody that lived up into their 90s, man. You lived a beautiful life. Now you're moving off into the next, wherever that may be. I don't know what you're going to see when you pass away, but wherever they're going to, man, you pass this stage in life, this beautiful human experience, and you got to enjoy it. And now you have moved on into the next experience, whatever that is. And that's a beautiful thing, man. So definitely when I pass away in my 90s, 90s. I don't want people to be sad. I want people to be happy. I reached it. I beat the odds, all the statistics, especially as a black man in this country. And I got to that age, and now, I'm free. I'm truly free now. And I've moved off. I've shuffled off this mortal coil. So yeah, once again, congratulatory happiness to Betty White and to Max Julian and to Sidney Poitier, where they got to that stage and they moved on. It's sad that we no longer get to be around them, but it's a joy that they've actually got to that point and they've moved on. Yeah. So as far as the Lyfeblood brand, we're continuing. Probably, if I haven't spoken about it, if you're just tuning into this show now, I do have a social media platform called Lyfeblood.com. I'm pushing on. It's a social media platform where you basically encourage people, you build your community, encourage people to build on their passions. As I always use as examples, marine biologists, scientists, musicians, you're a baker, you're a dancer, you're an artist that draws or sculpts, or you're an inventor that you created a new form of I don't know, technology that will benefit the world. This is where you build with like-minded individuals, and you ask people for $1 a month, and you can build your network of 5,000 people, 7,000 people, and you can use that money for whatever that you looking for. Whether you need to keep a roof over your head, you need to buy food, you need to build your prototype, you need to have the ingredients for your next fantastic, I don't know, souffle. That's what it's about. And as you build as an individual, or as I say, you can have build on group economics. So if your community wants to build a hydroponic farm, you of a community of 15,000, 20,000 people in your county, city, or whatever you want to be, if you want a hydroponic farm, you don't have to ship in food from, I don't know, Montana. You can do it right here in your neighborhood. And I say right here, wherever you may be listening to this show, and you could build a high-rise hydroponic farm, and you could supply food to your community where it can only be trucked a maximum of 5 blocks, 10 blocks. There should be no reason why you should be shipping in food and you have to worry about extending the life of the food. And, is it going to spoil? Is it going to, turn over on the road? I think every city, every county should have provide their own food to their communities, and it doesn't have to go through that whole chain in order to get to your table. So even if you want to do something for your community, it is open on Lyfeblood.com, and go for it, man, and build it. And as you create that network, we're going to build on millions and millions and millions of people transacting, talking with each other, actually providing some sort of productive means of improving your society. We're going to build life transfer centers, man. Life transfer centers. Think of it, a life transfer center, kind of like a YMCA / educational institution where you're going to be able to play sports. You're going to be able to engage medical facilities, and there's going to be an R&D in the facility. There's going to be an auditoriums where we can talk about the latest and whatever that this special individual wants to talk about. You could be talking about and financial improvements. They could talk about even medical improvements, anything that is beneficial where you want to have a mass group of people, 500 people, 1,000 people, and there's going to be an auditorium there. And it's also going to be quote unquote stores. So there's going to be an all-inclusive things where people can actually talk with each other and commune and build and say, yeah, man, I've been talking to this person for the last, 6 months that I just welcomed into my network. And now I'm finally meeting them in this life transfer center. So it's all about self-improvement of the lifer, as we call it, everyone that's on the platform. And this is how we're going to kind of create a space where it's not just creating a space online with the platform, but also offline, where we could take those ideas and those ideals and different ways where we can improve our society and move it into a real physical space and have people actually see each other and shake hands and hug and do all these things and smile, things that are all of us as human beings, what we naturally do, and we socialize. We want to get into spaces where we can actually, physically be in touch with and be in touch with each other and interact and such and so forth. So yeah, and there's a lot of other things that we're going to do that we're going to build with people as we're talking with other venture capitalists. So I'm still pushing on with that, and it's challenging, of course. It's not ever going going to be easy. It's just you to move on and see where you could take it to the next stage, and we're going to turn it into the app and really build. So there are a lot of big things that I want to do, and also the event thing is coming off, and that in itself has been challenging because you also have to deal with COVID. So we are already dealing with this next surge in infections with COVID. It's called Omicron. I guess I wouldn't. Everybody want to call it Omarion. So that's a joke. Like Omarion, the R&B artist, they talking about Omarion virus. So Omicron. I was calling it Omicron. I think I'm mixing it up with Transformers. So it was Omicron. So we're dealing with that. There's a rise in cases, and pretty much is like, how can it, especially with the nightlife industry, like how are you supposed to really do shows and on an intimate setting of 500 people and 1,000 people, whatever the capacity is for that venue, and then you have this virus that's kind of like a dark cloud over our head. And we were trying to move forward in like late 2021 to say, okay, we're kind of getting a handle of this COVID-19 thing, and it's still around. But then it popped up, man. It popped up in these variants, and right now the latest one is Omicron. And a lot of people are getting affected, especially the people that I know in my outer circles. I'm like, wow, this person got it, that person. Now it's not as deadly as the first one, but it is transmissible, highly transmissible, and hospitalizations are going up. The infect is going up. Like I said, a lot of people that I know is coming down with it, and I, knock on wood, I haven't had it, and I hope I never get it. I haven't got it. I got vaccinated the first time, and that's hopefully that's providing a shield. So far I've been lucky, but I know some folks that have gotten it, and they just got this Omicron thing, and it's crazy, and it puts a damper on event planning, man. So I mean, I want to do this event with Lyfeblood, of course, but I'm trying to see what's the best way that it can be done for the people that are going to attend this venue, and keeping everyone safe, keeping myself safe, or whoever that's a part of this event safe. And it's hard, man. It's hard. I mean, the schools are closing down, and then they get open back up again, and then the CDC is changing their guidelines. Like, it went from 10-day isolation and to 5 days, and they changed from 5 days back to 10. It's a madhouse, because I'm hearing all this information. I can't say, to be honest with you, I'm hearing all this information, and it just seems to me that there's so many ears that are being influenced by the information they're disseminating to the people. Now, I believe in the science. Trust me, I believe in the science. And if you listen to the show, a forward-thinking individual. I'm into science, technology. I'm into things that are going to benefit society. But unfortunately, us as human beings, we are exposed to even influences, powerful influences, and at times that we can try to move forward and be honest with the information that we got from science. But then there are some people that are talking to each other's ears and trying to shift the information and in certain ways I get it. I understand us as a society trying to move forward. We don't want to cripple ourselves economically. This is a capitalist system that we live in. We move with money, and if we can't make money, how are we going to buy our food? How are we going to keep a roof over our head? How are we going to maintain all these other responsibilities and bills that are coming in on a scheduled basis? And then and that's why I see how a lot of this information can kind of clash with each other, because now you have the Omicron, and they're saying, the transmissible rate, hospitalizations are going up. People have to be wary of this. You could get sick. I know someone that got put on a matter of fact, shout out to DJ K Slay. They said he was on a ventilator. Everybody was shouting him out, showing him support on his IG handle, and he got put on the ventilator. Now he's off the ventilator, thank God. He's recovering, but he's one of the people that got hit hard by it. A lot of the people that I was talking to that got hit by it, they would get sore throats, they get chills, they would be weak. They wouldn't, they would stay home. They didn't need to be hospitalized, but at the same time, they got symptoms. and they recovered. But this one, what happened to DJ K. Slade, it was a more serious one, and it's out there. So it's kind of like a Russian roulette how you could get hit. You could get some mild symptoms, and then you could get the more heavier ones. So, yeah, man. So, it does put a damper on the event planning. And with all this information that's going out there, you don't know what to listen to and what to move on. So it's hopefully it's best that you can be open-minded and objective and impartial, and taking in this information and make the next move that's best for you. So yeah, it just seems like all this information is being rattled out there, and people are influenced by powerful individuals, and the CDC and changing their guidelines, and it's crazy. There's a lot of things. I think I heard something like the hospitals wanted the nurses to come back. Please forgive me in this. Let me see if I can Google it right quick. But I'm hearing the word on the streets is hospitals wanted people that were infected with COVID, as far as the nurses, to come back. But then originally it was like, if you're not going to take this vaccination, then we're going to have to let you go. But now they want people to come back. So it's let me see here. Let me see if I can nurses infected Omicron COVID return to hospitals. Let me see if this is so this one here, healthcare workers concerned by shorter isolation after COVID. You want to be as safe as possible in this trend. And 8 days later, she returned to work at the hospital. Still a 15 imperative work. As a highly transmissible requirement took hold and spread throughout the holiday season, these going to reduce the natural time. So, what they're saying is, this one woman that was infected, a nurse, she isolated herself. 8 days later, she was called back. She returned to work, still a bit fatigued, wearing full gear, and they're reducing the isolation time for asymptomatic healthcare workers from 10 days to seven with a negative test, or fewer days if there's staffing shortages. So, look, there's a lot of information that's going out there. One thing, you could love the internet, and it's beautiful. The information goes at the speed of light. So whatever you learn here in New York, all of a sudden is going to end up in Dubai in like literally 2 seconds. But then the downside to the internet is like sometimes it's information overload, and it's so much there, so much information, and it's like it's literally attacking your brain, and it's like you don't know what to believe, what to listen to, where to go, and that's the hard part, and then that's the problem. And then the other problem with the internet is sometimes people that are anti-vax, or some people that are, the very on the fringe, should I say, sometimes they put themselves in a bubble because all they listen to, all they read is information that reinforces their belief system anyway. That's the other problem with the internet. You could literally live your lives in a bubble and feel like whatever information that you have is the 110% truth. Like, say for instance, like the whole COVID-19 is a fake. I've spoken to one or two people that on the right side, hard right, that believe COVID is fake and they don't need to wear nothing. Like, I've spoken to those people because I want to get their input. And as crazy it may sound, some people throw themselves down the rabbit hole, and they live entirely in this rabbit hole by those small sites, or those sites that they go to, and they live in this bubble, and they believe in it hardcore. So yeah, the internet could be a little tricky. So you got to be careful what you read, what sources you get from. I'm talking about the independent sites. I'm talking about even the major news network sites. So it's important that you kind of like sift through this information. And I know it's hard, and some people don't go beyond what they read. But I read it, and I try to be as responsible as I can, because I'm on the mic talking to you guys, and I don't want to just be one of those folks that are going to be spreading misinformation, and then you go off and you do something that could harm you or whatever like that. So I'm going with you guys, what you guys are going on, and then whatever I want to share, I'll share. But yeah, so what I can say is, as I said before, and there's so much information out there, and it just sounds like from these sources, from these quote unquote reputable sources and other places, that the science is there, it's factual, it's out there describing the COVID-19 and its variants and how it's going to continue to persist in our society and around the world. But then unfortunately with this information, you can harm a lot of the functions of the capitalist society that we live in, and certain people may not want that information out there. Certain people that have their own political agendas may want to counter it with other information that could be fake, and then just because it fits their agenda. So a lot of times you kind of have to read between the lines who the sources that you're getting from, who they're adjacent to, who is paying their paychecks. So all of these things kind of play a part when you're actually reading from reputable sources down to more of those independent sites. So just be careful on where you're getting it from. You know what I mean? So as continuing on. So it seemed like they caught the perpetrator of young Dolph, man. It turns out that I don't even know the name of this gentleman. And it looks like, unfortunately, it was one of the people in his crew, and they was going around on social media, and it's wild. I don't know if he's a prime suspect or they just want to bring him in for something, but they're circulating that this is it's possible that this dude shot young Dolph, and and he was a part of his crew. As I always said, man, you got to check who you hang with if that is true, man. You got it's almost like the same thing what happened, almost like Nipsey. Almost. I don't think that dude that shot Nipsey was inside his crew, but he was one of the dudes that was hanging around probably, and you've been at a couple clubs and he kind of knew him, Nip. And then that's how he kind of let him enter into his own space, and that joint kicked off the way it did. But this dude sounded like he was in his crew, and whatever happened, we'll see how this news goes. But you got to be careful who you let into your circles, man. You got to be real careful. You have a lot of acquaintances, but you have few friends. A lot of acquaintances and few friends, and you got to know how to discern who is your acquaintance, who is your business partner, and who is your friend. And hopefully we come to a conclusion with young Dolph, man. He was too young, and these are the deaths where you're sad, and there's melancholy, and there's sadness. You know how it goes. The other thing that's attached to that, these rappers, I keep on hearing. I hear people saying like 200 rappers died last year, and I hear this rapper every other day, or say every other week. I hear of a rapper that died. Now there's some people that are rappers, man. There are some people that are rappers, and I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. There are some people that are rappers and they're ringing bells in the music industry, and they're up and coming. You get it. They're making their waves. You see them on various hip hop sites, and they haven't really made any big money yet. They're not on some Drake level, but they're just starting. I remember when Drake first started. Not DJ Redler. I'm telling my age. I can't remember my man's name. Oh my God. I remember him first talking about. Let me see. I wanna get my man. There you go, Funk Master Flex. Yeah, I remember when Funk Master Flex was talking about Drake early, and he was bigging him up. So you get to hear names from the people that have already been in the industry, right? And you see them and they come out with it. Okay, cool. But then you hear those stories with those MCs or those rappers that you ain't even never heard of. Like, who is this? I don't know this man. I don't know this dude. My homegirl texting me. I don't know this dude. Oh, shout out to La, man. Happy New Year to my homegirl La, out there in Ohio. I don't know this dude. Like, who is this rapper? This dude. Not everybody that dies and wants to dabble in bars should be even given the name rapper. I don't understand. I really don't understand all this. Why are they giving this name rapper? All right, because you don't hear this on the other side in any other music genre, right? So if you hear, I don't know, let's name him Harry, right? Harry, Harry Hardhead. Let's call him Harry Hardhead, right? So you don't hear of Harry Hardhead as walking into a store or something, slaps up his girlfriend. She kind of like accidentally gets killed. Brother comes back and kills this guy, and he just so happened to be in a band. Right when it's on the news, Harry Hardhead got killed because he was abusive to his girlfriend, and he got killed. And they were like, "Oh, it's terrible. This guy got shot," or they were like, "Hey, he's beating up his girlfriend. This guy named Harry Hardhead, he got killed," and that's all you would hear from, right? But then Harry Hardhead happens to strum at a guitar and plays every other weekend at a bar. You don't hear of this nondescript dude, Harry Hardhead, the musician in Four Keys band. Like, you don't hear this. That's not the narrative. That's not how the story plays out on wherever you hear it from. You don't hear that this dude is a musician. You don't hear that this dude is at the bar, strumming his guitar with his band, Four Keys band, and they're on the way. They're touring in their Winnebago across America, and they trying to. You don't hear about that stuff. You just hear about this fool that they got caught up. He got shot because he was beating up his girlfriend, Harry Hardhead. Oh, that's terrible, and that's it. But every time you hear some nondescript named dude that happened to say some bars at his computer and he uploads it to SoundCloud, all of a sudden he's a rapper. Not even his name, you'll hear young rapper in said city dead because of bop, 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 bop. And sometimes that's on purpose. It's the same way where back in the day, when Pac was alive, right? Pac was ringing bells he was $1 million with Death Row. They would always say his name, Tupac Shakur. Like, come on. You're a journalist. You're a journalist, man. All you got to do, even back then, pre-internet, whatever, is you could just listen to music and you hear, oh, Tupac. Okay, that's his name, Tupac. Okay. Even if you had an issue with his last name, okay, how do you pronounce Shaq? Okay, Tupac. Okay, I know Tupac. Tupac Shakur. They always on purpose, to me, I feel, purposely mispronouncing his name. At the time where he had movies, he had albums out there, Tupac Shakur, stop it. You know how to pronounce his name. It's Tupac Shakur. You know how to, come on. Tupac, you know how to pronounce. He came out with, come on, Juice, for Christ's sakes. And he did all those interviews. Tupac. So sometimes to me, it's like kind of like an insult kind of clothed in addressing in their whatever job that they're doing professionally. And they're intentionally butchering his name. It's the same thing where I think now all of a sudden you hear about Harry Hardhead. You hear about Jamal, and Jamal all of a sudden got shot in New Orleans. And you're like, well, what's his background? Oh, really? He did music? Okay, he's a rapper. Yeah, he's a rapper. As if you're supposed to connect death and destruction and irresponsibility in the life to the music, to the genre, to hip hop, first and foremost. All right, we gotta in some ways kind of destroy, in some ways assassinate the character of not only the individual but a group of people, a genre. Nah, it was just Jamal, whatever his last name was. He got shot. He got caught up. It's no different from any other story that you would hear in the hood. That's how it went down. No, he was not a rapper. He did 2 songs. Nobody know this kid. And if somebody knew him, it was in his community in a 4-block radius. He is not a rapper. He's inspiring to be something, but he has a whole other life. And you don't do it to whatever guy that dies in Portland, Oregon, and he's strumming a guitar every weekend at some tea joint. It was just him, regular dude, got caught up in something, and his life unfortunately ended. All right. So I'm tired of reading these articles, and they're saying young rapper. No, who is this guy? Ain't nobody was talking about him. Nobody knows this guy. Why you keep on saying he's a rapper? Nobody knows this guy. So when a certain individual on his independent news, what's his name? He said it, my man, I gotta go back. Let me see if I can find his name. I hear this brother, Boyce Watkins. Yeah, Boyce Watkins told me 200 rappers died last year. I'm like, who? So we just gonna throw out this number 200. Who? No, nobody is rapping, bro. Nobody, they playing with it just like everybody else is playing. Hey, man, I'm an aspiring rock band. Nobody's saying this, man. Nobody's saying 200 rock stars died. Nobody's saying that. So stop it. All right. Do we have problems with hip hop? Sure. It's no different from the community. We do have problems. Certain things that are attached historically to poor communities that happen to be black. Yes, no doubt. Yeah, I get it. But come on, it's not like cats is just going out shooting rappers because they got a rap. Hey, do you write 16 bars in the studio? Yeah, pow. No, it don't happen like that. So that's what it seems like to me, and I'm like, it's the way they word things. So you got to be careful of what people say in journalism and what people don't say in journalism. Either way could be used to weaponize or character assassinate an individual or a character assassinate a whole genre of music. Yeah, so that's crazy. What's his name? Mayor Eric Adams. Mayor Eric Adams was catching it. Oh yeah, he was catching it. 3 days into him being the mayor of New York City, man, already, and I kind of shared that on social media. I don't post as much on social media, and everybody knows that because of my prior dealings with them. So I post, and then you know what the funny thing is? A quick segue. They said, IG said, if you don't post enough, we will delete your page. Ain't that something? So if you don't post, they're going to delete your page. I don't know how infrequent that it has to be, but I'm like, God damn, you just can't. If you off for a month and you don't feel like you kind of like you turned off your social media, so now you're at risk of losing your page. If you don't feel like being active on your joint for 2 months, they're going to shut down your page. So anyway, I post when I post. Other people still post regularly 3 or 4 times a day. I don't do that. I post when I'm ready to post. So anyway, Eric Adams, and I posted it on mine. I was capturing, I did a little tweet search on Eric Adams, and yeah, this brother, so he pops up on social media on Twitter, and damn, are they after him? I mean, goddamn. 3 days into being mayor, man, he signed in at 12 a.m. midnight, of course, on the New Year's Day, right, for New Year's Eve. He signed in ceremoniously, whatever. He did that. And 3 days, you already on Twitter, people already talking mess about Mayor Adams. And you know what? Check this out. I'm not here to destroy anybody. I'm not here to make things up. I'm not here to, as soon as you make an inch a move, that I'm here to put you out. That's not what I'm here for. I'm going to challenge you on certain things that I have issues with or what you want to do in the city, but I'm not going to bash you at every freaking turn. So Mayor Eric Adams was catching it, and then he did right after that. He did some sort of a press conference, and he was talking about low-skilled workers. And he pretty much said, you know, he didn't want low-skilled workers such as cooks, dishwashers, messengers, anybody that doesn't have the academic skills to sit in the office. They didn't want to lose out on this job. And people jumped on him. I'm talking about on social media. I'm like, God damn. I mean, people, I don't think he meant it the way he meant it. He said academic skills, and people was like, oh, just because you work as a cook doesn't mean that you're not academically upward bound and you don't have the smarts. I don't think that's what he meant. I think what he was talking about in terms of the New York City shutting down because of COVID, and it's not the right time, and certain people that are cooks, dishwashers, and messengers, not everybody's going to college, right? He's not saying that they are physically incapable of learning. He's saying people that are doing these jobs that don't have any skills at that time can't afford to be sitting at home. But man, people, I mean everybody, I'm not even talking about the right, I'm even talking about some leftist folk. They was all over his ass. They was like, how can he say that? That's not right. Everybody that's a cook doesn't mean they're incapable. And oh my God, can you imagine being this dude and like, damn, I was just trying to, because when you listen at the entire speech of what he was trying to say, he was like, we can't shut down because certain people can't afford to shut down. And these people like cooks and dishwashers and messengers can't afford to sit there, and they got rent coming. We can't shut down New York. We got to continue on. So sometimes certain things are just politicized and how people go about things. And look, when he gonna do some effed up things, he gonna do some effed up things, and I'm gonna be right there checking on him. But I'm just not gonna be swinging bats for just at every week and month. Yo, I want the city to succeed. And the city doesn't succeed if you're constantly knocking down the dude that's the mayor or the governor continuously. And plus, you got to give him some room to, to hang themselves at least. Jesus, let some time go. Build something up, but you can't be hanging off this dude's every word. And then as soon as he slips up, and it could be an honest slip up, people all over him. God damn. Now, speaking of that, so there was a raid on some gang activities, right? I did catch that, and I'm going to say this. So they did a raid, an early morning raid, how the NYPD do. Of course, this is to show that Mayor Eric Adams is on top of crime and quality of life. So this was on the news, and they were talking about they were doing raids in Brooklyn. They said they had 17 targets, and out of those 17, 3 were the most dangerous, and they actually killed people in the streets. Okay. So this is what we're doing again. And I don't have any problems with, of course, handling crime. Any one of those 3 individuals or how many of them actually kill people because they wanted to be some badasses in a gang. Yo, you got to handle that. It's unfortunately these kids went went too far. And it's hard to kind of correct that if some innocent individuals got killed. So of course I get that, totally understand. You got to grab those cats up, and unfortunately, you go do the crime, you're gonna do the time. Especially when it comes to murder, you're gonna do time. It's unfortunate that it could have been stopped way before that, but now it's too late, and now you got to be sitting up in Rikers. So I get that to an extent, but we all know, listen, I'm in my 40s. I'm not gonna say it's busy, but I'm there with Eric. Me and Eric right there. Eric is not that much older. I think he's in his 50s. Eric Adams' age. So he's 61. All right, so he's a little jumper ahead of me. But yeah, we're grown men, right? He's 61, I'm in my 40s. We understand what it takes to rebuild a society. We know that it's just not a matter of sending cops out and knocking them over the head. Yes, that's like initially, but it doesn't take care of any of the more of the long-term problems that are affecting poor communities and disenfranchised when it comes to jobs, when it comes to social programs, when it comes to quality schooling, when it comes to entrepreneurship and encouraging people to start businesses and access to finance and all those things. These are the things that are going to handle poverty in the long run. Sending cops out, that is only a hammer on the nail. And you're always going to have new nails that are going to come up. When you have communities that are historically impoverished, you are always going to need police to take care of that. But that is not the way to rebuild a community, because all you're doing is sapping out the best, the community of the youth that have the highest potential to take over cities. Because if all you're going to do is just jail wayward young kids, then of course you're always going to have a part of the city that's going to be dilapidated, broken, and with a lack of hope, and they're going to be eternally impoverished. So how do you truly solve the problem? As I just said, you're initially going to send them cops to kind of straighten some things out, but how you deal with impoverished communities, you have to give people education. You have to give people an opportunity to learn a skill. You have to give people something to do, especially youth, in order to keep them out of the streets. You're going to have to educate. It's no different from the coal miners in West Virginia, where now coal is just an obsolete energy source. Now you have a bunch of people just hanging around, and really there's no digging a coal like that anymore. We're moving into natural gas. What are you supposed to do in that community? Unfortunately, the coal is old and nobody's using it. So you have to re-educate the community into new skills of tomorrow so they can find a job today. Because there are communities in West Virginia are just going to wither away if they are not forced to re-educate themselves for the jobs of tomorrow. And they have crime just the same way that there's crime in any one of these urban centers. So it's just not about sending police in and feel that you're doing your job. This is how you sustain poverty. This is how you control people. And you want the city to be better, Mayor? You want the city to be better? We're talking about revitalizing the entrepreneurial spirit in New York, about starting a new tech sector that rivals San Francisco, Silicon Valley. You have to start preparing people with programs. I remember when I was a youth back in the day, man. I was 17 and I missed the boat on it. I didn't understand it. I was 17, 16. I didn't know. I was going downtown Brooklyn and I was coming out of Nevins train station. Everybody in New York know what I'm talking about, downtown Brooklyn. And there across the street from the Nevins train station, there's a McDonald's. And over the McDonald's was a banner that said, train in C++. I didn't know what that was. I was like, train in C++. Okay, whatever. That's whatever. Let me go about my business. I don't know what I was doing. But who knew that this C++, was the beginning of what it is today as a computer programmer? I didn't understand that. I just saw, okay, it's just something that if I did that back then and someone encouraged me to say, hey man, take this C+ class, this is going to be good for you, this is where it's going, I would have been a computer programmer right now. I could have been running my own company, making websites or apps for people or whatever the case may be. But I didn't understand it back then. There was nobody there to guide me. So I missed the boat on that early, getting it before kind of it snapped. Because now you see everybody wants an app, everybody wants a website, all these things. That's what you need to do for the youth today. You need to talk to them. You need to integrate certain educational programs within the public school system or set them out as separate programs. Get them off the street. That's where the YMCA comes in. Get them off the street. Give them hope, because right now why kids join gangs, because there's a lot of lack of hope. There's coming from broken families, from broken households, because that impoverished attitude was passed on from one generation to the next. The cycle hasn't been broken. That's how you fix communities. That's how you revitalize New York, Mayor Eric Adams. And I ain't got to tell you, because you're a grown man at 61 years of age. You understand that as much as I understand that. So it's just not about sending cops out, but you know, NYPD is a business. Cops around the states is a business, and you have to take out the for-profit agenda in public programs, public services. Because it's a public service to be the NYPD. You get paid from the city. But then if you actually start dealing with poverty in community, what happens? You need less cops. But because there's a profit motive, because there's a budget that got to be maintained, it's not about solving crime. It's about adding more to the budget. Now, what happens to those folks in Beverly Hills, right? You have cops in Beverly Hills, but those cops in Beverly Hills are bored. You know why they're bored? Because there's no crime happening in Beverly Hills and more enriched areas in LA, in California. The cops are there, but they not doing nothing. They twiddling their thumbs. They're helping old ladies across the street. They're getting their kids back to the other side of the street when their play ball kind of rolled through and they don't want to get them run over by cars. They're helping them back across the street, wherever they came from. So they really don't have nothing to do. And that could be the same with the attitude of what's happening over there in those rich areas in town of in Beverly Hills. The same thing that can happen right here in Bed-Stuy, right here in Brownsville, right here in East New York, right here in Brooklyn and Queens and the Bronx and Staten Island, everywhere with the poor communities. You could have poor cops, but then that means when you reduce crime, what happens? There's a less of a need for cops. I mean, you want to need them. And then the city will eventually say, when you're running the budget, you're like, well, yeah, there's no one to arrest anymore. That's why they hated marijuana got legalized, because there's no official reason to pull anybody over than just say, hey, man, I smell something. So, I had a reason. Man, they hated that. Legalizing marijuana. Oh, my God, they don't want to legalize marijuana, because that was their end. To shuffle people or turn them upside down and see the coins fall out of their pockets, whatever. Hey, look, we found something. So then they got to figure out something else. And thank God, I got to shout out de Blasio. He set up qualified immunity. He knocked that down in New York. That was also a change in the attitude too. That's also what we were trying to do with the George Floyd bill. Knock down qualified immunity across the states. But they need that to do what they're going to do. That changes the behavior, because now if cops could get personally sued, their own money could come out their pockets and not coming straight out of the city's budget. Now they're going to think twice. They're like, God damn. So what, as I said, as the saying goes, from my brother that I got, I can't remember. He's a comedian activist. He said, what emotion is stronger? Dick Gregory. Shout out to Dick Gregory. Much love, of course, he passed on, but his spirit still lives on. He said, I'll never forget, what emotion is stronger, the love for your family or the hate for me? And if that emotion is stronger, the love for your family and knowing what could be taken away from you because your family will suffer, then you will think twice. I can't cure your racism. That's something that you've been socialized. The poison has been set in your mind. There's no city reform that can change that. But what I can do is punish you to the point where's the emotion stronger? The love for your family or the hate you have for me? And then that's what will make you think twice. Not because you hate me. Not because you think, damn, I got to do something with this nigga. Not that. You're like, damn, my family's going to lose out. Nah, I ain't going to do that. So shout out to Bill de Blasio. That's one thing he did that I got to appraise him for. Boom, that came out of nowhere. I'm like, yo, okay, that's what's up. Because it's not about just having business, financial access. If we're going to build this tech sector and we build up and all of a sudden now we're giving jobs are open for African Americans, Latinos, or whoever is just suffering from this, and they're building their own wealth and doing it. But then what's the point if you still got to have cops breathing down your neck? You know what I mean? So yeah. Let's see let's talk about this. And I'm looking forward to challenging Mayor Eric Adams and changing that around and stop using cops as some sort of a big hammer. And that's why I got into a little discussion with someone online. It was council member, what's his name? Holden. Council member Holden in Queens. I'm putting comedian. Robert Holden, boom. District 30. I forgot what District 30 holds down. Let me see what District 30 holds down. He takes care of. I want y'all to know this district, even if you don't live in New York, how it goes down. Okay, Glendale, Maspeth, Middle Village, Ridgewood, Woodhaven, and Woodside, Queens. So he's a council member that holds down District 30, and those are the communities within District 30. So him as Robert Holden, he says that, of course, of the January 6th anniversary, that it was good that we continue to deal with domestic terrorism and everything. He had his words to say, which was against the insurrectionists that did what they did in DC. And you had someone that responded saying, oh, it was not that serious. Whoa. He said somewhere that it wasn't that serious. And there's other people that chimed in. Some people was like, yeah, definitely. That's not how that's a bad direction for the country to go down. All those people should suffer. All of them should get jail. All of them should be under the jail. It was one of the highest crime that you can ever commit as a citizen of this country. Goddamn right. Those are terrorists. You know what I mean? Terrorists. And you had a couple of people on that Facebook, on his Facebook page, one individual, and I responded to him. I was like, bomb, exactly, Mr. Holden. These are the people that you are serving in your district. These are the same people. Beware that you would have someone so dumb as to support the insurrection that happened in January 6th and type it out. These are the same people that will say, we need law and order. Whoa, wait a second. Because you can hear it. You can hear it in the words. A lot of the right-wing people, I'm not saying it because I'm left-wing and Democrat, I'm independent, but you can kind of pick up on the kind of like the dog whistle words, those trigger words. We need law and order. We need safety. I'm like, no doubt. I don't have a problem with safety, and I told the guy, but you're not going to use cops and use them as a weapon to threaten other people. And that's why you see it on TV with the Karens calling the police. That's essentially what they want police for. They want them as their own personal security force. So if one Negro gets a little uppity I could just call the police, and it's their own personal dial-up number so they can send the police down and correct these niggers. That's what also happened again in Sidney Poitier's movie, Hello, Mr. Tibbs. Hello, Mr. Tibbs. Let me get that movie. Let me get that. They call me Mr. Tibbs. And what that famous people were circulating that, I think D.L. Hughley circulated that little clip from They Call Me Mr. Tibbs. Mr. Tibbs, I guess he's a detective. I haven't seen that movie in so long. It's crazy. And I'm going to see it now. So he goes into one of the florists. I don't know who the florist was. And he's asking them questions about a murder. The florist of this individual was like, got insulted that he was asking him, and he smacked Sidney Poitier's character. And right off the cuff, off that second from that smack, Mr. Tibbs smacked him back. Sidney Poitier's character smacked him back. And you can see his face. Oh my God. Now, this movie came out in 1967. You know, the attitude back in 1967. All right. Or it was drawn, I guess the setting was 1970, but the movie was released in 1970. So he was like, and immediately the florist, because there was also a uniformed cop that came with Mr. Tibbs, Sidney Poitier's character, to question this guy. And immediately he turned to the cop and was like, oh my God, did you see that? He smacked me. What are you going to do about it? And the cop was like, and now let me give you a little quick back up a little bit. As soon as Mr. Tibbs, Sidney Poitier's character, smacked him, the cop even looked at him like, yo, how dare you smack a white man? So the florist turned to did you see that? What are you going to do about it? And the cop was like, he said, I don't know. And then what did the florist said to Mr. Tibbs? He was like, back in the day, I would have had you shot. And Mr. Tibbs just walks right on out. Never before in cinema, bro. That was something new at the time. He just smacked that white man, yo. Mr. Tibbs was so there, rightfully so. But that same attitude that you see in They Call Me Mr. Tibbs, what that florist did to Mr. Tibbs is the same thing what you see in this attitude right now as far as Karens that call the cops and this guy that said the message to council member Holden's page talking about, oh, it wasn't that serious back in the day with those insurrections back last year on January 6th. It's the same attitude where people call for law and order and we need quality safety. It's all connected because these people want their own personal security, and what they can't do, let me get on and call 911 and let me get this Negro straight. The same attitude from that generation to what happens right now. The same thing. So all of that is kind of tied in and is intertwined, is intimately intertwined, and you could kind of just thread it. Like when they do those murder investigations and they have all the pictures of people and sites and places and they got red strings connected. It's all connected. You could take that red string and go from January 6th, those insurrectionists, the people that are right now, the attitude, it wasn't that serious, till next thing you know, some Negro is acting up. He say, call the police. Oh my God, what are they going to do about this? It's all connected. In that attitude, where you have the people that were going to rush the Congress, the Capitol building, to people that are more of the laid back type, and it's the attitude. So I said that to Congressman Holden. I was like, these are the people that you represent in your community that say they want law and order. Law and order. Oh, law order for those people. And now you're going to round up some young 17-year-old black kids that are on a wayward and awful. They don't need jail time. They need to get back on the road so they can be productive citizens of society, so they can get education, so they can have their own families, so they can rebuild communities, not to lock them up. We don't want to go there. You know, I'm talking about the ones that murder, as I said. If they committed murder, it's unfortunate that happened, but they're going to have to do the time. But for those that are wayward, and it's like birds of a feather. 4 degrees or 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Now we don't want to do that. They were saying there were 17 other violent. We don't know. The news is gonna shape and mold whatever the message is to villainize these young kids. And there's those three. All right, those three that were murdered. Okay, but then they're gonna bunch all those other kids up. Now, they could just been rolling. Yo, that was my boy. Bop, 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 bop. Not with the murderous ones. The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, and these kids ain't got nothing to do with it, but they just want to have, to hang with their friends. Now we gonna lock them up? We're not doing that for 2022, man. We're not going 20 and beyond doing the same thing that what happened in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We on a different path now. New York is going in a different direction. We're not doing that. And we'll face it head on that we're not going to just lock up our children and then all of a sudden we're going to repeat the same business from one generation back in the Bronx when kids was jumping on beds when the Bronx was burnt out to what it is in 2021 to now. No, we're not continuing that. So Mayor Eric Adams, that's where I challenge you. I don't care what you said. You mishap those words as far as academic and educational. I get what you were saying. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to continue the same thing from Operation Impact to what it is today. And we'll talk to your commissioner as well. Which leads me into January 6th is that these people, these attitudes. Jenna Ryan, that woman that raided the building, she said she was in there for 2 minutes in the Capitol building and I wasn't there in a long time. She got charged. She's going to go do jail for 90 days. You know what this woman said? This woman said she compared the treatment, how she was being treated to the German Jews. She was the victim. They were calling out her race. They were doing all these things to make her seem like she was a criminal. You are a criminal, woman. Now, as we say, if black people was right there at the Capitol building, we wouldn't even have to step our pinky toe up in that Capitol building. It would have been blood on the streets. But you have all these people that are being treated with light hands. This woman gonna get and do interviews talking about, I feel victimized. Like the German Jews. If I was Jewish, if I was Hasidic Jew, I was whoever, I would want to jump into that TV. How dare you compare what happened to the German Jews back in the days to what you did. You jumped on a plane, you came over to DC and you were right along with everybody else thinking it was a game. And that 90 days is bullshit. She talking about, wow, she's going to lose weight in 90 days. That bitch, oh my God. See, I'm trying to be nice with my words because I got an audience and in other rooms. She should have got a whole year put in that jail just off a GP. You can't come here and play like it's a game, like this is some tourist attraction. You going to run up with people that's breaking windows, wiping feces on the door, threatening Congress people and politics and all that. And you think it's all good. You just going to do a cakewalk? Yo, let me tell you. But I hear a lot of those people are not being prosecuted. And not a lot of those insurrectionists. So I checked online and they were saying, I caught a word when I'm listening to one of my podcasts that I listened to, and they're saying a few insurrectionists are actually trying to run for a local office. Yo, the balls. The white privilege is real. These same people that were insurrectionists that were caught, that went through courts, mind you. Now, again, you can't, some of these federal charges, some of them were in the local area. I don't know, the local federal, I don't know. But again, just like how you had Kyle Rittenhouse and he got off where the judge was basically his lawyer, it more than likely happened with some of these insurrectionists that went to court and then they got let off with a light hand. We know how it go. Now they have the balls to try to run for local government. And I don't know how far it's going to go. Let me tell you something. This is not something that's Republican or Democrat. This has nothing to do with political parties. So when people try to put it in context of people running for government, they want to serve their community. This has nothing to do with serving your community, left or right, Republican, Democrat. This is a straight up soft insurrection. They couldn't get what they wanted done in the Capitol building. Are they going to do it by hook or crook, by trying to use the law and bend the law and say, oh, fuck the law, we going to do it like this in their local area? And it's going to happen in their local area, of course. In red states, in the communities they come from, the people that want to cheer on Trump and all that fool, right? So people going to do that. But I can't believe that these people ran up and they were insurrectionists and they were sent through court, and you want to actually... But that's what happens in those areas, man. That couldn't happen in New York. I hope that can't happen in New York or New York State. As soon as that word get out, no, you can't run. To me, felony, you be charged with. To me, if you were a part of that, right there in the Capitol building, and you smeared shit on the walls, and you took something from there, and you was running up in any one of those people that got caught on camera, that was the mob, the wild mob that was running crazy through the Capitol on that tip, you right there, you can't run for office. I'm sorry. Matter of fact, your right to vote should be taken. Now, you have other black people that they right to vote is taken on some bullshit technicalities. And we got whole people running up in the Capitol building just destroying shit. And you mean to tell me they still got the right to vote? Hell fucking no. I tell you that. They gave up their rights as soon as they ran up in there. As soon as they ran up in there, because they were sore losers. They ran up in there wanting to kill people. I don't care if you think that you was coming up in there and you was dressed like a buffalo with the horns on your head, to the people that came through with the freaking zip ties ready to do some damage, running up in buildings and rooms. I don't give a damn. All y'all get treated the same way. You don't get to run for local government. I don't care if you want to be the porter in any one of these political offices. You ain't coming close. And matter of fact, on top of that, your voting rights is taken away. Coming with that garbage. This woman. Yo, it's like Lord of the Rings, man. You remember that in Lord of the Rings when Sam and Frodo were fighting? They were fighting the Gollum. And then the Gollum kind of was like, I'm sorry. Because he kind of lost the edge. And he was like, all right, cool. Sam and Frodo turned their back and was like, we got him. And what the look on Gollum's face as soon as they turned around, he thought he could get his face went from fear and sorrow and I'm sorry and I'm being apologetic to it slowly menaced into the angry Gollum everybody knew at the time what Gollum. He jumped on their back. That's who these insurrectionists are. That's who this woman is. These people are gonna play sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't know it. As soon as you give it up on them, their face will slowly turn back into a menacing grimace and they all on your back ready to cut your throat. This is different times now. I ain't treating these people like they want to be Republican, like you have the typical conservative right. This ain't got nothing to do. This is a different time. These people are pulling back their teeth and showing their fangs. And you got to treat them as such. I don't give a fuck. Unapologetic. Oh, to the hilt. Because, yo, when the dog is rabid and I ain't trying to turn him to bring him into my home. You see a rabid dog foaming at the mouth, showing his fucking his bites, his chompers out on the street. What you gonna do? You gonna put him down. You ain't trying to bring him into your home. Am I right or am I right? These folks showed their hand. And it's not about what's right and what's wrong. And hey, man, I'm all about taxes and, small government and all those things that conservatives say they are, right? This got nothing to do with left or right. This is a different attitude. And you got to treat it as such. Now, Manchin is a whole other problem. It's complicated. It's sophisticated. The boss is at it again. So now the whole Build Back Better plan kind of taking a back seat and is pushed off, and Manchin is doing what Manchin do. He's Manchining, along with Sinema being his right-hand woman on this, and everything got pushed back. Ain't nothing happened to Manchin. And it's funny. It was funny I was listening to him. I'm like, you got to think about it. I don't think Manchin is acting on his own. I don't even think Manchin is acting on his own, because how is one man going to hold up everything? That's impossible. One man can't hold up everything unless he was put out there and say, hey, Manchin, do us a favor. When this thing goes public and whatever these legislation bills are, you just knock it down. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of you. Because it can't be just him. The one monkey don't stop the show. Understand what I'm saying? So I'm sure there's other people that think like Manchin, but Manchin is the front man. He's the man out in the front that's taking all the blame. He's got the lights on him, the hot lights on him. And he ain't budging, man. This dude does not crack. He don't crack for nothing. What's that fool that was cracking in front of let me see here. Ted Cruz. Oh, that man was cracking. He was backpedaling like crazy, talking about he used the word terrorist, and he was on Tucker Carlson's show. That dude was backpedaling like a But he was backpedaling. But with this dude, Manchin, this dude is stone cold, cold blooded. My man does not, he does not flinch a second. They come to him, he be like, yo, this is what we do. I'm like, God damn, who is this man? And it makes me think, wait a second. Yeah, that's right. He probably not working on his own. So it's funny that we gotta be aware that how this is moving. There's a lot of players in this game, man, on the right and left. Because a lot of times, what do you say? You say you was gonna do all this, right, Biden? I'm shouting out Biden. Biden, you was gonna do all this because all you needed was take Georgia. All right, cool. And this is what we're gonna pass. Okay, cool. None of that came to pass. And then not only there's certain things as far as voting rights and the George Floyd bill, you owing black people and all those things, none of that came to pass. None of that. You can't even get your Build Back Better plan back in order because what, Manchin? Who's president? And I always said, look, it's the Republicans do what they want. They just throw the bows and they push everybody over. It doesn't matter what they're saying. Republicans always, even if it's illegal or immoral, they don't give a goddamn. But Democrats, they say all that business. All of a sudden, when it comes, they got the power in their hands. They're in Congress. They're holding down everything. As they said, they were going to hold down things back in the election. And now that they got a hold on to power, it's like, oh, sorry, we just can't do anything because this guy Manchin is just like, we all got to be on one page. They cannot think people are this stupid. I don't know what people, I don't know. I don't understand. I can't see how Democrats think people are this stupid. Because it's like, it's either, look, the Manchin is the real president. He's a real dude holding down, but we know things don't go down like that. So it's either Manchin is a problem or you're working with him as an excuse. That's the only way you see it. That's it, on the streets. That's how it goes, man. And look at any movie on the streets. Look at how things move on the streets, man. When someone is sent out to do something and they don't do it, it's either somebody gave them a better deal or this dude is a double agent and he's working against you. We know how it goes in the streets. Yo, man, I told you to take care of that. Why you ain't take care of that? Yo, well, when two dudes get locked up and one dude gets out early and his accomplice is in the Bing still getting the hot light put on him, what do people think? People gonna think, yo, man, I guess you were lucky. No, what people think is you squealed and you on the streets right now while your man is under the hot seat. You talked. You a freaking a snitch. That's what people think on the streets. So all of a sudden you're going to say you're going to get everything that we needed in the administration when you were campaigning to be the president. Now you're in there. Okay, listen. And you told the people we need this, we need that. Okay, we're going to hold down. All we need is VP to sign off on it and bam, we in there. And everybody was like, yeah, because they were just tired of Trump. They was like, this dude's an idiot. All right, we'll give you a try, whatever. But we know how politicians act. We're just trying to get things back straight, right? Because we're dealing with all this COVID things. And all of a sudden, now you want to pass things, and what happens? Oh, well, we can't do nothing because this dude. And people are looking back. Now, I don't understand how these people think. I don't know if these politicians are that blind, but people are literally, the people from the streets are looking back at the radio or looking back at the television screens and they're like, huh? No. Well, how come what? So now people are giving them the stupid face back at the administration. No, man, no. And it's just not black people. I'm talking about poor white folks that also voted for Biden, the working class white folks that also voted for Biden, the progressives also voted for Biden, and all the other POCs. They're looking back and they're like, nah, bro, no. This is not 1980s, 1970s. No. So now they're playing this game. Now they're gonna play it right now to 2022. And the Build Back Better plan is gonna work out some kinks or whatever is going on. Now they want to put voting rights on the table because they got to deal with it because they're not stupid. 2022 is around the corner and they're gonna get crushed because they're allowing all of these new laws that are getting passed in these red states to kind of curtail, make it harder for people to vote. What are they gonna do? And right now, people are watching what the Republicans are doing, and it's like, well, what are y'all gonna do? You're not blocking them. You can't do nothing, right? You know this is taking place, and you just watching this shit go down. So now they're working on voting rights for 2022 because they're trying to hold on. But you know what? I think they are going to get crushed. crushed because everything they're saying, everything they're not saying, the people are looking back on them and they're staring back at them and like, really? So we're going to play this game. So you're not going to get nothing done. So 2022 is going to come and you just want me to vote again for the same people. No, we're not going to do that. Now, I don't believe in not voting. I think that's the stupidest thing. There are people that are going to encourage not voting. But my thing is, if you don't vote, someone else will vote for you. So I am not at all in agreement with not voting. I'm saying change or adjust your vote to people that are going to fight for you. You got to pick someone in the community that's got a set on them, a pair on them. And I'm talking about down below or above, that's going to take things by the horns and then call people out. They're going to join their office and they're going to say, this is what we're doing. We're not getting it. And they got to involve the people. You just can't vote for people and all of a sudden they're working within the system that's already broken, that we already know is broken. And somehow miraculously they're going to turn things around. We got to stay on their necks. The people that voted, the person that you chose to be in that political position, now they got to be in full communication with the people, the voters. And if things don't go right, the voters got to get on the street. This is what we want. We didn't ask for that. Ain't nobody asked for no goddamn Oreo cookies. Ain't nobody asked for no damn peanut butter cookies. What we want is this, and we're going to see you on the streets at your office every day until you allow this politician to push us through. And everybody should be on it, because right now it ain't a game. Everybody should be on it. Because we've seen that happen before. You get the politician that you want in office, and all of a sudden it's like they get pretty much surrounded. No. This is how it's going to go. And they slowly acquiesce to the system. But we know the system is corrupt. We know it's a problem. We know we want certain things that the people are fighting for. They want it. Then the people are going to have to continuously be on it after even the voting day. And they're going to have to keep their eye on it. Because right now the Republicans are moving through. Democrats are failing. They're giving up everything to Manchin. I mean, it's going to be a sweep. And I just don't think you're just going to vote Democrat just to vote Democrat. You got to vote for the people who are going to be for you. So that's why I'm independent. I don't care. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not nothing. I'm for the people, right? I'm for what people want. And I've been on this side. I'm on this side. It's about healthcare. It's about pre-K support for kids. All right. It's about jobs. It's about education. It's about dealing with this. What are we going to do with the student loan debt situation? Why are we in all these wars? We need to adjust. We need to stop militarizing police. We need to put that money that you're pouring into these police departments to go. Matter of fact, we need to root out racism and white supremacy out of these police departments. That's even as important as trying to readjust these budgets. And we needed to put it into these communities where we can start rebuilding them. That's what I want. I want a life for myself, and I want a life for my kids. I want to make sure that when I'm no longer in a position, they're going to be good, and their programs is going to be set up where they can succeed. I'm all about succeeding here. That's what people want, man. But yeah, we're going to see as we go on. I'm even going to talk about it more. I'm being involved in any way possible. That we got the game, the strategy has to change. We know what's happening. Now there has to be a counter plan to what is happening. And there's going to be certain strongholds that you're going to lose out to. It's where you numerically are in power. Okay. And there's certain alliances that have to happen, and you have to check it. There's going to be allies, and there's going to be people you're going to get with. But in order to stop the rush of what's going down there, it's not even, I can't even call it Republican. This is something else. Like that's the saying, kind of like the saying they're cousins to it. Sometimes they're even in the same bed. Insurrectionists that are running, it's not about Republican. And certain people's certain thought processes and attitudes. There are people, you want to send these insurrectionists that went to jail, but none of the people that kind of like pull the levers and push the buttons for these people to come into the Capitol building, none of them has been arrested. None of them has been put on the hot seat. They're trying to go off like nothing ever happened. And that's how it was going to happen again. That's how another Insurrection Part 2 is going to happen again. Because nobody, the sources of the insurrectionists, of these insurrectionists that happened on January 6th, none of them has been called out, put in jail. That's how it's going to happen again. And that's why it's going to happen again. It's crazy, man. A game plan has to be put, and you got to meet them. Just like my boxing coach used to say, it's all about pacing. When your opponent steps up his pace, you got to step up your pace. When your opponent got you to the back, you got to adjust and see you re-strategize when he got you on the ropes. Either you're going to do the rope-a-dope or you're going to step to the side. You got to do a counters. You got to do your dips, your slips. You don't stand in the corner and get walloped on unless that's a part of the plan, rope-a-dope. But you got to counter it. What's the counter? Yeah. So, yeah, last few things, man. Keaton. It seems like DC is going to change up, man. So Keaton is going to reprise his role as the old Bruce Wayne, as Batman, and he's going to train Black Canary, and Black Canary is going to introduce him to Batgirl, and she's going to be the new Batman. So there's some certain things going to happen, man. You have Superwoman. I forgot the name of the actress. She is going to be the new Superman, and she's going to step in and fill the role. I don't know for how long. Hey, this is a turn. Grace Randolph has said this. This is going to be a turn of what's going to happen with DC. They're going to do something different. I kind of agree, because this is what I say. Stick with me, folks. DC Marvel fans. We've always known Superman. We have always known Batman. And there's so many other superheroes that's out there that's in the Justice League alone that you got to give them some time, man. I'm not saying totally eliminate Superman or Batman. I'm not saying that. But there's so many other characters. It doesn't have to be the core characters of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Cyborg, and Flash. I mean, there are other characters that are just as interesting that should get some play. But, you know, I can't say that there won't be pushback if you're going to totally take Batman and Superman. I'm not saying it's not a matter of sidelining them. It looks like DC wants to replace them. Like, okay, this is gonna be the new Superman and Batman. We're gonna do Batgirl. We're gonna roll with her for a couple movies. We're gonna do Supergirl. We're gonna roll with her for a couple movies, and that could be problematic. Could be, because people like their core characters, right? My thing is not to change the core characters, but add on to the core characters that are, and you have all these other side superheroes that are just as dope and strong, and their backstories are rich and you know, filling to, and that can add on to the Justice League, just add on to the superhero story altogether. There's so many characters right there. So I'm kind of like against the taking these characters out, replacing these characters, and say, okay. And I don't know if that's the game plan, because a lot of times there are distractions, and they try to put information to throw people off the scent of where DC wants to go, Warner Brothers wants to go. This could be just for the first couple of movies now, and then they're gonna, of course, we're dealing with the Flashpoint with Flash. They can, you know, change these stories, and of course, Henry Cavill's. That's one thing you guys got to let go. All the DC fans, Henry Cavill is done. All right, Henry Cavill is done. Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne, that's done. I'm at this point where I'm ready for new blood, and I'm not even saying Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson is a one-off. You know, I'm going to see the Batman. Of course, I think it's going to be hot. Of course, they're never going to let a movie go bad. Once they saw the Joker and they saw what Joaquin did, I think they were like, shit, we could do standalone movies. Let's do that. Let's do the Batman. And they got Robert Pattinson. I think Robert Pattinson is good for year one Batman, but I don't think he's good. He doesn't have that, to me, that gritty, grimacing, threatening look that, you know, Christian Bale did so well. You got to have a certain look, and he doesn't. I mean, he's an actor, and he's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to draw that out of himself, and based on the trailers, especially the latest, I didn't see the latest trailer, because I'm like, okay, you giving up too much. The one before that, when you actually showed certain things, I'm like, I'm down for that. I can see that he's going to pull that role off, all right, because he is an actor. He's a great actor. He's just not the sparkly vampire that everybody thinks of him in Twilight. So I know he's going to do his thing. He's got the acting chops. But then again, you know, there's certain things to me that I need a little bit more from him. And he's small guy. Batman is not a small guy. Then again, neither was Michael Keaton. He wasn't a big guy. But, you know, for somehow Michael Keaton just had, you know, and that was surprising because Michael Keaton, to me, that was the best Batman so far. Christian Bale was like, it's always originals, but you know, Michael Keaton was a comedian. You know, when they chose him to be Bruce Wayne, they was like, Michael Keaton. It's the same thing I guess they felt about my man that played Heath Ledger. They was like, nah, he's a pretty boy, but he came off. So, you know, there was something that the cast and director saw in Michael Keaton and in Heath Ledger that was like, yeah, you could do a great job. And they did fantastic jobs that we put our foot in the mouth for that. But Michael Keaton was, to me, he just transformed himself. And I guess, you know, am I back talking because me talking about Robert Pattinson? I guess, I don't know. I just, you know, I think that Ben Affleck to me, and I was like, with Ben Affleck, I was like, huh? Ben Affleck, he did his thing. So let me see how he does in the Batman. But I'm looking for someone else that really can, you know, give that what Christian Bale gave, and maybe he'll surprise me, but I don't know. But as far as those one-offs with Supergirl and Batwoman, or however what do you want to call them, let's see what happens. That could segue into, you know, Flashpoint into new Batman, a new Superman with another, you know, a different, you know, Clark Kent. So I mean, we'll see how we go with that. And speaking of Clark Kent, I'm in full support of recasting T'Challa in Marvel. I'm in full support of that's going around, and I've been following this dude for a while now. That he actually started the hashtag recast T'Challa. I thought at the time that they weren't going to recast T'Challa for this film because it was so close, but then it turns out that they want to totally take out T'Challa. I'm like, what? I mean, why are we talking about this? I don't even understand why this is a conversation. How this is, I mean, they were saying that Ryan Coogler was in agreement with Kevin Feige and some other producers and I know it was fresh at the time, but I didn't think they were talking about a total. I'm like, what? I mean, we would never do this with Clark Kent, Superman. We would never do this with Bruce Wayne. Imagine killing off Bruce Wayne for good, and you're never going to see Bruce Wayne as Batman. I'm like, you can't, it's not going to, I mean, there's so much story to tell. This is actually first time he got on the big screen, T'Challa. There's so much rich stories to tell of who this man is, T'Challa, being the king of Wakanda, what he meant to the people, what impact he could have to the world, the technology that they had, how they would have all the enemies and villains of T'Challa and Wakanda. I mean, yo, you gonna totally get rid of my man? Like T'Challa, come on. Now, I'm for all the way recasting T'Challa. And I was fine with, of course, because it's canon, his sister, Shuri, she becomes Black Panther. That's canon. I'm cool with that. I mean, that works into, you know, what happened in real life with the passing of Chadwick. But to totally take touch, I mean, dead him? I'm like, yo, he just got here. He just got here. So I'm with the recasting. But now they have an additional problem because, what's her name? I forgot her name. She doesn't play Shuri. She didn't want to take the vaccine, and that was one of the things that was a requirement to shoot Black Panther. She didn't want to take the vaccine. Now I'm like, okay, here we go. So Letitia Wright, she doesn't want to take it. And now there's something happened that she got hurt. Now there's news that she got hurt on set. So the production has been paused. Man, it's so how this is how, you know, COVID plays a role. And, you know, I can't, well, how am I going to fight it? It's people's personal choice. So this, man, is having so many problems in production. I don't know what direction we gonna go in. I think for next show, I think I have a couple of my own ideas who should recast, because they definitely, enough of the people fight, we could get them to bring back T'Challa, and I have a couple of ideas who should recast, and I'll do that for the next show. Who should be the next Black Panther? T'Challa Black Panther. And I'm like, I don't even know what I mean, if we're dealing with the multiverse, we're gonna the multiverse of madness with Doctor Strange and I mean, how can you not? I don't understand. We're dealing with the multiverse of madness. As the writers, the screenwriters, you could tell the story 1,000 different ways. How T'Challa comes back into a new T'Challa into the Black Panther role in Wakanda. I'm like, hey, all y'all gonna tell? You have all these plethora of stories that come out in so many different rich ways, beautiful, very diverse ways to tell the stories of all these characters over and over again. But as soon as T'Challa, unfortunately, my brother dying and T'Challa is not in the scene no more, all of a sudden, all the creativity, all the ways that you could tell the story, it just stops. It was like, oh, we can't do nothing about it. I mean, what? Want to hear a little bit of information on the grapevine? On the grapevine, they're saying that it may not be about Chadwick passing. It's something with a money thing. I don't know. There was something that was happening right before Chadwick died, and he was talking with, I guess Kevin and Marvel about money, and I don't know what happened, and he passed away, and I don't know. Supposedly, I don't know. That's the kind of the most recent information out on the recasting T'Challa. Who knows? All I know is you got to recast T'Challa, get another actor. I think that's disrespect to the character. That's disrespectful all the way, where you think that the only person that can ever play has died and there's no reason. Imagine doing that for Bond, bro. Imagine one of the actors who played Bond dies, and they say, well, we're just going to have to kill Bond. There's going to be no more Bond. What? Imagine Ian Fleming getting it. Ian Fleming is the creator of James Bond. Imagine him as he even said James Bond was a white man. He was like, I don't want nobody else but a white man to be James Bond. I mean, he was steadfast in his thought process with that. Imagine the studio saying, hey, now we're not going to bring back James Bond. Somebody else going to be 007. He could be like, what? Yo, bro. He will roll out of his grave. Excuse me. I don't know who. You know what? Ian Fleming. I'm just saying, die. Somebody said it should be a white man. I don't know. Somebody said, yo, Ian Fleming will come out of his grave and be like, yeah, hell no. This is my story. I created it. We gonna have another Bond. 007 gonna be Bond. 007 is Bond. If anybody saw the last 007, I encourage y'all to see it. I think that was the dopest. One of the dopest Bonds ever in the history of Bonds, how they did that film. I'm not going to give it away. I thought it was brave. I thought it was ballsy. I thought it was, hey man, this is how we going to do this story. And shout out to, what's his name? Craig David. I think it's Craig. Daniel Craig. Yeah, Daniel Craig, that was actually influenced how this story was going to go for even back in the day. So shout out to Daniel Craig and to everybody involved with Bond. That was super dope. One last thing before I get out of here, folks. I'll rewatch some of the Bonds, right? Because the latest one that came out, and let me tell you. Let me see which one. James Bond movies in order. Last thing before I get out of here. With my man Daniel Craig. Quantum of Solace. Everybody knows the Bond song at the beginning of a Bond movie has to be top-notch by a top-notch artist. Not all the Bond songs were great, but they were catchy. I don't know what happened, and I love this artist to death. I love her to death. I love her music. She is the bee's knees, right? But she, oh my God. Let me see. Okay, my bad. It slipped my mind. Shit happens. Whatever. I rewatched Quantum of Solace from the very beginning, and the opening song, Bond song, was the worst Bond song I have ever heard. The worst Bond song I have ever heard, and it was by Alicia Keys and Jack White. Jack White, everybody knows Jack White. He's, let me see, make sure we get this right. So Jack White, American singer-songwriter. He's a kind of rock, I guess. right? So they thought they could bring these two people from outside of different genres, bring them together and they can make, no. This was terrible. This song was absolutely horrible. I'm telling you, it had no tune. I was trying to find the melody. I was trying to get with the rhythm. Yo, this song was the worst. And I didn't even know it was Alicia Keys when I was listening to it. I was like, I had to look it up. I'm like, who the hell is singing this song? It was the worst song ever. And I was like, Alicia Keys and Jack White. Yo, this song was the worst matchup ever. Can you imagine what that studio recording was like at the time? Oh my God. Maybe they got along. I don't know. This song was terrible. It was awful. It was, if I could, I'd just cut that part out and just start the movie. Because to me, what starts a Bond movie is the song at first. Because, yo, Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, You Only Live Twice, The Spy Who Loved Me, The Man with the Golden Gun, A View to a Kill. Come on, player. Those were just classic songs. Like, they were stand alone, away from a movie. It was charting. Oh, what is that song? Oh, that's the opening to that James Bond movie. Really? Let me go see that James Bond movie. That's the hook. But that Quantum of Solace movie. Oh, not the movie, but that Quantum of Solace James Bond song. Oh my, it was like scratches on a chalkboard, yo. And I was given a chance. Okay, I'm going to listen to the very last second. And to the very last second, that song was trash. And I like Alicia Keys, so I don't know what happened. So, all right. Anyway, folks, yo, thanks for listening to me. This one was the first show of 2022. I don't even know how long I went on for, but please tune in every week. I have it every Wednesday. Sometimes it goes into Thursday, but this show comes out weekly. And yeah, so I'm glad you listened to this point. I'll see you guys the next week, and hopefully I can have some news for you for the coming things. Please sign up for Lyfeblood.com. You know what it is. And if you want to ask me any questions, you can hit me up on my email. Check out info@Lyfeblood.com, whatever, and I'll get right back to you. So we're going to push on. We're going to make 2022 a beautiful year in any way that we can. And I wish you guys the best of luck for 2022. And we get out of here now. All right, guys. Peace.
Check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com for the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go round. From right here to your town, we out.